Basically what this is a recreation, a digital recreation of real pinball tables. And every table is put together, exactly same, scale, rule system. It's got, what comes up on the dot matrix and the sounds and everything. They recreate the whole table, which is really, really awesome. And they do a pretty good job on the physics as well. I'm going to move my little YouTube thing out of the way of my flipper controls. And they have it right down to the plunger. You put your finger on it and you just move the plunger to pull it back. And just like on the real table, I'm going to wait to pick my skill shot here. I'm going to shoot for 10 million, try to whack that trunk. And I didn't do it. That's okay. I'll hit the ramp instead. And as you can see, the physics are pretty good. I mean, it looks like pinball. And that brings me to, what the differences are between playing this and playing a real table. A lot of folks say that the Pinball arcade gives the appearance that the ball is hollow, and I'd say that's a pretty good way to put it. It's a little light. The ball gets up the playfield a little more easily than it seems to on a real table. And it doesn't really, the effects of the ball spinning when it hits the flipper and all that, you don't really get that. It's not that that's beyond the realm of technological possibility, but it's, there's only so much you can expect, from a simulation of this kind, without putting, too much drain on your processing power. But that said, it does a pretty decent job. And, of course, one physical pinball table to another, you're going to get a lot of variability, if components are broken or the angle's slightly different and things like that. So the way I like to approach this in relation to playing, real physical pinball is you're not going to get your aim down necessarily off of playing this, but you can learn the table rules, what targets to shoot for in what sequence. You can learn the behavior of the table itself and the game itself very well from this, because that is recreated pretty much exactly. Oops, little drain there. So you can learn that from this, and then go to the real table in your local arcade and, relearn, the nuances of that table. But, don't expect, if you can make a particular shot in this, that you'll be able to make it on a real table just because you've been practicing a lot on this, if that makes any sense. But what does a real pinball table cost? A new Stern table, you're looking at, with shipping and everything, north of 10 grand. And I don't know about you, cool for you if you do, but I sure don't have that kind of money lying around to grab a pinball table. So this is pretty much as close as you can get right off the shelf. Visual pinball people really enjoy, and I hear you can fine-tune the physics a lot more exactly on that if you want to bother with that, which I'm sure is worth doing. Like if you're recreating a virtual pinball cabinet, I'd probably go that direction. But if you want like an off-the-shelf, pretty good simulation just on your phone or your tablet, this is pretty awesome. And it has, approaching it with the right attitude, I feel like it has, along with some practice, improved my scores at real pinball tables too. Because once I figured out that there are certain skills that don't transfer exactly. And to Farsight's credit, they are doing constant updates on this. They give you 4 free tables every month. You buy, the app is free, at least it is on Android, and then you buy tables individually for, $5 or so, which is kind of a lot for, something that's a phone app, but at the same time, compared to, how many quarters you might drop into a pinball machine in an arcade, it's not that bad. And it's worth doing if you want to get a little, get the rule system down. Whoop, there we go. That little animation sticking to the magnet isn't all that realistic. But along with the updates and the new tables they add new, updated ball physics. So you can do some real pinball stuff, like, drop catches, live catches, those kind of flipper skills. And again, the behavior of a pinball table in real life is dependent on, those real physics of how the solenoids and the flippers work. The end of stroke switch, where it switches over from, the main flipping flipper to the solenoid that just holds it in place. There's slop there, and you've got to catch it right as the flipper falls back out of that overextension to do a live catch. And of course, they're not simulating actual solenoids in this, so they do that little cheat there to simulate the live catch, where basically the ball sticks to the flipper if it contacts it at a certain point in its flip. And if you're, totally obsessed with realism, you could complain about that it doesn't, it's a little too easy, or it's, it doesn't feel, like, or behave like a real live catch does. But it's better than nothing. And again, it's, how obsessive are you going to get with it? I feel like this is a perfectly fine simulation. Not a perfect simulation, but for as light as the ball, so you can bump it there. It even lets you bump the table. As light as the ball feels, and as kind of wonky as the physics can be, and wonky's the wrong word, just a little bit imperfect, as any simulation would be. It's a great way to learn table rules. So that's kind of my spiel on that. Ooh. And so I'm going to stop talking for a second, just play. Let's try to manage this. And I drained them both. Well, that's a new one. I lost it when I stopped talking. If you can hear the sounds going there, it does a replay. It's got the sound samples, the original sound samples going, which is awesome. For that alone, achievement unlocked. For that alone, if you miss, seeing a certain table around, it's tough to beat that. Just hearing those sounds again. This last weekend, a friend of mine went out with me to the arcade a couple towns away that has a very, very nice Addams Family table. And it's been years since I've played an Addams Family pinball table. Whoopsie. But just hearing that all again, Mamushka, why thank you thing, it's, I remembered it as I'm hearing it, it's like recovering repressed memories in a good way. Every flip, every target, you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, straight down the middle. All saved, cool. So I'd say, worth it for that alone, potentially. And it does give you, when you download this app for Android, I don't know if it differs platform to platform, you do get, in addition to the tables of the month, whatever they are that month, you get Tales of the Arabian Nights for free, which is just an awesome table. Real and simulated, either way. Oh, and if you want to try any of the tables they have, and they've got a lot, mostly, early 90s, the solid state tables. But they've got some older electromechanical tables as well. just as a function of what people like. They like the electromechanicals. I like the electromechanicals because solid state, sorry. Most people like the solid state ones. I like the solid state ones because those are the ones that were in the arcades when I was a kid. And they've just got all the, the coolness there with the dot matrix and all that. But you can try any of those tables up to the first high score just by, you download the table, and all it does is it kicks you off of the table when you hit the first high score. But you can play it up to there for free. And then if you want to be able to play it as long as you want, you just, pay your few bucks and... Ooh. Some of the tables, and what they release the new physics on, table by table, and then they go back through their catalog and they update, as I understand it, the older tables with the new physics. So Xenon was the first one, I think, to allow live catches and stuff. But tip passes and things like that, they're still a little funky. But they will let you do tip passes, but it's not, of course, it's not exactly like a tip pass on a physical table. Ow! Misread it. Oh well, let's see what I got. Let's see the score I got. If it's respectable. It's 85 mil. Hey! I got a high score. Let's see what I get here. Flip my flippers. Come on. I should have gone the other way. And I got the highest score. Talking my butt off, I still did it. Alright, feel pretty good about that. Didn't match, though. Okay, not quite the highest score. Alright. So that's that. That's not a bad score. Of course, like I said, it takes some relearning if you're gonna, you can't get a billion in this and then say, oh, I'll hop over to the Theater of Magic at the arcade and I'll maybe pull that off. It'll help, but don't get cocky. You're gonna need to relearn the physics and all that, because you don't want to develop bad habits and bad timing with your aim and stuff from this. It's a model of table behavior, more so than anything else, and a great one. And it's still just a lot of fun. And if you're not, planning on going out to play pinball in an arcade, this alone, it is a good recreation, and it is just a really good time. So with that, I'm going to leave it, and hope you have a good one, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.